My name is David Trimble. I'm with the Religious Freedom Institute in Washington, D.C., and privileged to be here today at the International Religious Freedom Summit with David Burrowes, who serves as the Deputy Special Envoy of Religious Freedom in the UK. David,
Right.
welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, very kind of you to travel all this way.
Just for this interview.
Well, exactly. I wish you could stay longer, but it's really good to see you. The summit is so grateful you're here. RFI is glad you're here, and we're very privileged to work with you and Fiona Bruce, that works alongside you as the special envoy, of course. So let's start just a little bit, David, about your career path.
Yeah.
And you're young, so you've not been
wow.
doing such many things very long. But in your career, just help me understand where religion and religious freedom kind of took a strong hold in your life and career path that brought you to this role as Deputy Special Envoy.
So if you go back, it's very kind of you, David, and I'm getting older. Youth is when I was standing to be a member of Parliament, I was a member of Parliament for 12 years. So it was a political journey, but it started off before then in terms of a passion for human dignity. I remember when I had to get through a panel, and we're going to be talking about younger people and empowering them. I remember they were looking down on me as a younger person, wanting to get involved in the public square, in public life, and in some ways my attitude has been, you're looking behind you. Who's going to take that stand?
Sure.
Who's going to pick up? And I remember responding to their concern about my youth at the time. Was quoting an authoritarian figure I wouldn't like to quote too often, but youth is an illness of which I become cured of a little each day. That was my response to their concern. I'm a Christian, and I think it was my concern for this international human right of fundamental human dignity and the worth and value of everyone. Particularly in terms of their right to believe and choose and have a conscience. That sort of infused me from a very young age and led me actually to seek to fight injustice as a lawyer, then as a criminal defence lawyer, being an advocate on behalf of others. And then it led into being an advocate on behalf of my local area in sort of local government, as one of the youngest of councillors of local government representatives in my district, and then into Parliament for 12 years. And when I got shown the door in a snap election we had in the UK in 2017, then one door closed, another door opened to be able to continue to serve and support Fiona Bruce MP and in then her role as the Prime Minister's Special Envoy, myself as Deputy. So it's been a privilege, and it's a lesson really that and I'm involved in the world of. I've co-founded an organisation called the Conservative Christian Fellowship, which is supporting Christians into the Conservative Party, but also working alongside other Christians in politics to try and encourage young people in and to take their stand. And I was a young person seeking as a student setting up that organisation, realising this isn't. It's really should I, and encouraged by older members of Parliament, probably more my age now, who were saying to young people, "Come on, it's not. You're not. You're not there for tomorrow. You're there for today.
Yes.
You're the people of today, and to empower their involvement right now, rather than looking to the future. And that needed older people though to help me take my stand and to continue to do that. So particularly, I recognise, like us all, that my passion in some ways, if I wasn't involved in the world of either domestic or international political world, it would be youth work. I'm still a youth leader. I'm still involved in youth camps. And gives me an opportunity to be a bit younger and get involved. And so, really have passion and concern for young people and seeing them, fulfill their potential on behalf of us all.
You mentioned one concept, David, that was so fundamental to your development, your understanding, that led to your work in human rights, your work in the Parliament, your work now, and that is that concept of human dignity. And it's such a concept that helps build community, really, global community. And when I think about religious freedom, that's how I think about religious freedom. Religious freedom is not a divisive issue. And I often make the statement to young people that we teach and to others that religious freedom, when properly understood and properly practiced, brings us together. It doesn't drive us apart. And I think that's because it's rooted in human dignity.
Yeah. I mean, it is value. We're all seeking a value, not least of ourselves, and it becomes an inherent one that isn't something that's based on a financial security or. It's based on relationships. It is relational.
It is.
But it isn't something that you can yourself own. It's something that is inherent, but it's shared. And that's the beauty of it, that it's something which can't just be secured on your own. It's something that you share and value in your relationship with others.
Yes.
That makes it so enriching and so important to community. And you can see that. I mean, I'm very well involved in the political sphere, in the world of family, and you see that inherently in the way you share and sacrifice and have the commitment and that builds the values that are underpinned by a proper respect for human dignity that you learn.
Yes.
And you it's caught and taught those values.
Sure.
But also you want to be able to do that in areas where there are those that sadly have suffered and not seen the enriching value and its flourishing of dignity, where sadly they've been traumatized, abused, or they've suffered, and you want to be able to help support those folk, and really in those hard areas we can talk a good talk. I know from the political world around human dignity. It's something that needs to certainly be articulated by politicians, not just in one area. It needs to cross from cradle to grave and everything in between as well.
Yes.
That gives you both the respect and credibility, but also sees it all the way through, and also in this and it's individual. It's not just it is a shared enterprise, but it's one that involves that journey of an individual. It means if you're a politician, it takes you into very hard areas such as issues of refugee and resettlement that have to be valued in the process, in the bureaucracy, that you see the value. And I saw that as a member of parliament for those who were impacted by that in the system, that ended up being seen more as a number and a process rather than a person. And so we need to follow that journey that takes us into uncomfortable waters, places, and also obviously, as we know in this summit, into countries where we see extraordinary, awful, egregious abuses of human dignity, of religious freedom.
Right.
But it's something that we need to recognise that if we're going to be able to speak about that internationally, we need to show it individually, personally, family, community, nationally, internationally, and we need to have that consistency.
Yeah. Great observation, David. So we are here at the summit, the International Religious Freedom Summit, in its third year, and you've made the journey. What is your role here? Tell me a little bit about what you're doing. I'm sure you're speaking and representing your office well. And what are you doing? What is your role?
So with Fiona Bruce, MP, as you have your opportunity to speak to her as the Prime Minister's Special Envoy for Freedom of Religion or Belief. She said she'd accept that role with the Prime Minister. She's now been quite quickly through 3 Prime Ministers, so whoever's the Prime Minister of the UK, we're happy to be their envoy. Is that she said she'd want to do that alongside myself as Deputy, so 2 for the price of 1. So really we are sharing that responsibility and helping to support her to do what we can in these times, and so we're here. In some ways, it's very much a family, aren't we? We've seen all of each other remotely.
Absolutely.
It's lovely to see in person.
Yes.
And it's a real collaborative exercise.
It is.
And so it's a joy to be able to, just for a few days, come into person to see each other, to share the good practice, which. And it's the thing that we've seen. We had the ministerial conference that we really worked hard and up to in last summer, and this is lovely to follow on.
And you did a wonderful job.
And it's really, we're all working pretty well together, but also there's distinctive areas that we need to learn from each other. And so for government, working well, listening to civil society, enthused, inspired, and also learning and understanding how to work harder. And so our role really is these envoys have different roles in different countries, and we're similar to the ambassador at large role, but Fiona is also a parliamentarian, and so she has that ability to be in Parliament, to have that kind of independent voice, as well as speaking to and with and at the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office, holding their feet to the fire, but also particularly I suppose where we've seen a lot of our attention is as Fiona's chair of the International Freedom of Religion and Belief Alliance, and there's 42 countries working to try and follow through on the conference deliverables, particularly in relation to helping to inspire the next generation of freedom of religion and belief champions.
Yeah. On that note, on inspiring the next generation, I don't even know if you were aware, but as part of the summit this year, the summit and RFI combined to co-host a Young Leaders University Scholarship Program that we held yesterday. So on the eve of the summit starting, but it was part of the summit, we had 12 or 13 students come from universities across the U.S. They were awarded a scholarship to participate in the training that RFI provided in the afternoon and then attend the summit. So it was great to see students coming from the West Coast, the Northeast, the Midwest, and other places. And David, it was such a great exercise. I mean, we had Muslims around the table, we had devout Catholics, we had Protestants, and it was diversity and community. And just a brilliant conversation of dealing with tough issues and contexts that are complex situations of persecution in the world. We looked at those. We kind of had a work time session together. It reminded me of our time together last year at Cumberland Lodge when we co-hosted with Fiona and with you at Cumberland Lodge just outside London, the first transatlantic student seminar with students from the U.S. and the UK coming together for 4 days to study religious freedom and to tackle tough issues related to finding a way to find peaceful pluralism where it's desperately needed around the world. And I want to thank you personally for your role in helping to support that, encourage that. It will continue this year.
Yeah, really good.
And so we're so excited about being back at the end of June this year to do the same thing. But that leads to the final question I'll ask, and that is, if you were to kind of narrow down your list of suggestions for training young people, of getting young people involved, what would you consider maybe the most important thing we could do to try to work with the brightest minds out of the schools in the UK and across the US to capture the attention of tomorrow's leaders about the critical role that religion and religious freedom play in society? What would you suggest?
I think myself, I think of my days as a law student, but also then as a practicing lawyer and as an advocate, as a politician, and involved with various leaders of how it's making the connection for all those areas. What drives you on, and I think it's seeking to it's what inspires, what fuels the fire, and it's continuing to be reminded of the injustice, to be working alongside, and to perhaps be seeing and hearing, as you do, those individuals who are those prisoners of conscience, to realise, as we're talking about different levels of understanding and being religiously literate around this fundamental human right, but realising how it really impacts upon individuals who are locked up for just the sake of what they believe. And I think for us all, and all those levels of advocacy, for us to be reminded of those individuals, and to also realise that we've all got a part to play. I think if we're not holding back, just trying to develop them for the future, that today those students right today, they have a role. And I've been impacted mostly by young people coming and knocking on my door, and seeing and hearing them, and seeing around here, young people who are just running a lot of these tracks, who are just brilliant and inspirational. So I think it's them realizing that they do have a role to play right now, and they can advocate for, and they can speak up and be listened to, and can have a serious impact on the world.
Fully agree. Such an important role to play right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. David, thank you.
No.
It's always great to see you. We pray for you and Fiona.
No, thank you so much for RFI. Really appreciated that partnering and sustaining, and it's a long-term venture that which is why it's so intimately connected with young people, and we must keep going.
Thank you, my
friend.
friend.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.